Welcome to Roundup Reddit. Today, we've got a lineup of moral dilemmas that challenge our sense of right and wrong. Let's jump in. Story 1. Am I the asshole for not paying my nephew's hospital bill? I have 4 kids. Alexis, 15, Lucas, 12, Ronnie, 11, and Allie, 8. Alexis has a lot of health issues. We've been in and out of the hospital for months. Something important to know is that Alexis has a PICC line, big take-home IV, and is getting blood thinner injections every day, so we do have needles and vials around the house. She also occasionally gets pain meds through her PICC line. My sister has 2 kids, Andrew, 12, and Alyssa, 9. She brought them to the house to play with my kids not too long ago. Alexis had a minor procedure a couple days before they came. I was showing my sister a video of Alexis at the house right after the procedure. She was still very high, and it was hilarious. She's fine with me showing family these videos. Andrew came into the kitchen, heard the video, and asked what it was. I said that I was just showing his mom a video of Alexis after she got some pain meds. A few hours later, the kids were grabbing a snack, and Andrew took the container with needles and vials of the blood thinner out of the pantry. He asked what it is, and I said it's Alexis's medicine. My sister and I left to take our dogs for a walk, and I wanted to get a snack out of the pantry when we came back. I noticed Alexis's medicine box was moved, so I looked at it, and one of the blood thinner vials was a lot more empty than before, and a needle syringe was missing. Sister and I interrogated all of the kids, and we found out Andrew gave himself a high dose of the blood thinner because he thought it was her pain meds and he wanted to get high. My sister rushed Andrew to the hospital and he stayed overnight. Now she's sending me the hospital bill because I was the one that left the medicine where he could get it. I'm refusing to pay because if my 11 and 12-year-old boys and 8-year-old girl know not to touch other people's medicines, her 12-year-old should be able to see a vial and syringe and not drug himself. She's threatening to sue, and I really don't want to go the legal route with this. AITA for not paying the hospital bills? Edit. I would like to clear this up. This is an injection, not an infusion. All you need to do is inject it into the subcutaneous tissue, and I don't even know if he did that correctly. Story 2. Am I the asshole for not paying for my niece's future hospital bills and refusing to talk to her parents? I, 49, female, have a big family in my mother's side. My mother has 14 siblings, 7 remaining, and I have almost 30 cousins. Well, my mother's family is a very complicated family, but I won't talk about that. I have a cousin, Fred, 35, male, whom my family went no contact with him, only few, and his mother are talking to him. The reason why this happened was years ago he got someone pregnant and got married to her. They were married 3 years and got divorced. It's a messy divorce. My niece is staying with her mother. Well, it's much better. Fred loved his daughter very much. That time he quit his job, which was far away from us, in order to see his daughter, would give her anything, and play with her. That was before. He met a woman, Kara, 45, female, and she's a teacher. They got into a relationship, but my family weren't happy with this, because it seems like Kara was being a sugar mommy to Fred. Fred is jobless ever since he left his job for his daughter, and Kara is giving him money most of the time. Ever since he met Kara, he seems to abandon his responsibility as a father to his daughter, and then later, he announced that he and Kara are getting married. My family was furious for this, that they did not show up to his wedding. They didn't like Kara at all. She was the reason why Fred and his sister got into a messy fight, which led him to raise his hand on her. Some of our acquaintances told us that Kara had been bad-mouthing our family, Fred's ex-wife in a good term with us, so when we talked about the wedding, she asked us not to bring her daughter to Fred, as he's not making an effort to see her anymore, nor is paying for child support, and if she finds out we went against her wish, she won't bring her daughter to us anymore. We agreed. Kara soon gave birth and had a baby girl, Kimi, who's a year old now. None of our family went to see her, not even once, except for Fred's mother and some. I also went to see her and only had a few conversations with them. Kimi gets easily sick often. Fred is still jobless because he gets fired every time he has one. Kara is a teacher, but Kimi's hospital fees is pretty much bigger than Kara's allowance, so I offered to pay. After all, she's my niece. My husband had been supporting me for this. I was invited to their house for dinner, and some friends were invited as well. We were talking at the table, and I excused myself to go to the bathroom. When I got out, a guy I know was outside the bathroom and told me to follow him. Followed him, and we were standing near a wall, and I can hear Fred talking, saying how I'm like a credit card to them and how naive and stupid I can be. And my mother was right that I'm weak-minded. I was hurt. That was my insecurities, and I was always been bullied for that. I was on verge of tears, and I went out and told him that I wouldn't be paying for Kimi's hospital fees in the future. Fred and Kara tried to reason, but I didn't give them a chance. Ever since then, I refused to talk to them. Am I the asshole? Story 3. Am I the asshole for not paying hospital bills after my friend tripped over my dog? Yesterday, my friends and I were hanging out in the park. Me and my dog, my friend Kathy and her dog, and another friend Jenny. Jenny was walking Kathy's dog, and they were walking ahead of us. Kathy was walking a bit behind me and my dog. Kathy decided that she wanted to catch up with Jenny, so she started running from behind me. As Kathy ran past me and my dog, She fell and tripped. We thought it was a minor injury, but it turns out she dislocated her shoulder and needs surgery. Kathy says that while she was running past us, my dog suddenly ran toward her and she tripped over my dog. Honestly, I didn't see clearly how exactly she tripped. I couldn't tell if my dog actually ran into her or if she tripped over my dog on her own. My dog didn't make a sound and didn't seem bothered. Jenny also said she couldn't tell. Kathy wants me to pay her hospital bills because she says it's my dog's fault that she tripped. But I feel like it's unfair of her to ask this. If my dog had bit her or attacked her, obviously that'd be a different story, and I would 100% pay all the medical bills. But in this instance, Jenny and I are both unsure of whether my dog ran into Kathy, whether Kathy tripped over my dog, or whether Kathy tripped by herself near my dog. Kathy started running from behind me, so I didn't have a clear view of what happened. The money isn't a big deal, but out of principle, I don't want to pay the bills because I feel like this isn't my fault. Am I the asshole? Edit. BTW. My dog is a corgi, so pretty small. Not big enough to knock anyone over, but you could definitely trip if he ran into you while you were running. Edit 2. Kathy is my co-worker. We've been hanging out more, so I started to think of her as my friend. But we are co-workers. We work together in the same smallish office, which also makes things a little more awkward. Story 4. Am I the asshole for refusing to pay my cousin's hospital bill? Update. Showed the bill to a friend who helped me understand that this is the total bill, not what is owed privately. Also, I called Uncle, cousin's dad. Uncle wasn't at the event and has been rather silent in this matter. I learned that cousin hasn't shared that A, nobody shared allergy issues, and B, that we paid the initial copay. Uncle is now upset. I have been told not to worry my pretty little head, and he will have a chat with his son. If anybody needs me, I'll be sitting at my desk doing my best Mr. Burns imitation. Update 2. Uncle just texted me with the following. I called my son and told him he needs to leave you alone and take responsibility for his mistakes. Then I called his mother and told her she needs to get a handle on that namby-pamby boy of hers. Don't you worry about a thing. I have to admit, y'all, I'm dying. Thank you everyone for validating my gut reaction. I have a tendency to overthink and often feel guilty about things I shouldn't. You're all very kind. I'm turning off notifications now. Throw away because reasons, and I'm on mobile. A few years ago, I, 32, female, took over my mom's portion of the family annual Thanksgiving host rotation. It's a fun event because I get to see family. I generally don't see the rest of the year, and I love hosting. It is semi-potluck, and I make a point of asking about allergies and food preferences. This year, my cousin 36, male, told me he was joining with his new wife. They got married in July, and her daughter, who is around 8. Cousin was added to the group chat and didn't say anything about allergies, preferences when asked. Forward to Thanksgiving. One of the desserts I made was peanut butter cookies. My family and I love them. Cousin's SD ate one and is allergic to peanuts. I had no idea and would never have made them if I knew. Husband and I took them to a stand-alone ER that was about 5 minutes from the house. We stayed with them for some time until she was transferred to the local hospital where she stayed overnight. She ended up being fine. Last week, I got a text from cousin with a pic of the hospital bill. He wanted to know how I wanted to handle it. I called and he and wife expect us to pay the bill. I told him we weren't going to do that. I reminded him that he had told me nobody had allergies, and hubby and I did pay the copay at the ER, $500, because we felt bad. He had an argument, and now the family is involved. They're mostly on my side, but some are getting into me for having anything peanut-related cause everybody has peanut allergies nowadays. The bill is about $6K. We don't have it. The $500 we paid came out of our Christmas budget. I feel bad his SD got sick. Ultimately, though, it's their responsibility to handle things like this. Am I the asshole for refusing to pay? Story 5. Am I the asshole for leaving the hospital after my fiance told me to pay the bill? For context, me, a female, 26, and my fiance, a male, 28, have been together for 3 years. Finances are split till after marriage. We have equally paying jobs. He doesn't pay when we eat out. He doesn't pay for any fixes in our rental apartment, and also doesn't help with furniture and stuff. I tried to have conversations about how I'm always supposed to foot the bill for almost everything. His excuse is that he's been saving for a new apartment, been saving up for 2 years now. But he still has half of his salary, which he uses on himself and buys gadgets and gaming stuff. When I try to argue about it, he'd say it's his money after all and remind me of how he's saving up to buy an apartment for us. Days ago, he called me and asked that I take him to the hospital to treat his ankle. It's been hurting him for weeks, but only now he decided to get it checked. I drove him there since he was in pain, but was surprised when he told me to pay the bill. I asked why not him, and he brought up the new apartment he's been saving for again. I had it, especially after he threatened to not add my name to the new apartment's title if I refused to help him out. I snapped and told him to pay for himself and stop using my money with the apartment excuse, then I left. He had to pay, but was furious saying I'd let him down in his time of struggle. Also said that my attitude isn't partner material. I told him I felt like he was using the new apartment to spend my money, but he said I had no empathy or sense of responsibility to support and help him out when he is doing me a huge favor and buying me an entire freaking apartment. He's calling me selfish and negative. IDK. I feel guilty for doing this, and now he's avoiding me entirely. Story 6. Am I the asshole for refusing to pay for my mother's hospital bills? Shortly after my 5th birthday, my dad found out that I was not biologically his. He immediately threw me and my mother out of his life, which now looking back, I can't really blame him. It would be a nightmare to raise someone who was a constant reminder of your wife cheating. Shortly after that, we moved from a mansion to a very small apartment, and my life has been absolutely lonely and horrible since then. The love that my mother had for me disappeared in an instant, and she and my half-siblings constantly blame me for being the reason for the divorce, have hated me since. I was constantly told by my own family, including my mother, that they all wish that I would die and would have never been born and things like that. I try not to get my half-siblings' words get to me since they were kids as well, but it still hurts to this date. My mother married my stepdad when I was 10, and he and his kids, my step-siblings, have made it very clear they didn't like me, and things got even worse. I was given the smallest room, no new clothes or things, and constantly ignored if not being bullied by my family. Both my step-family and half-siblings went on great and fantastic trips and were given all the latest gadgets and everything as well while I was left behind. It actually came to the point where no one had wished me even a happy birthday since I was 8 years old. I had no friends at school as well. I was that quiet kid who was always isolated and left out of everything. I, 27 male now, managed to get a full ride to Dream College and am now financially quite secure. I now have a very good friend and an amazing fiancé with whom I have a 3-year-old son, and her family has adopted me as one of their own. My finance also convinced me to go to therapy, for which I am very grateful as well, and I am basically doing great in life and have moved past everything. Recently, my mother contacted me a few days ago saying she needed my help, money actually, because she has cancer, and I firmly but politely refused her, saying that while I sympathize with her situation, it is not my responsibility and she should lose my number and never contact me again. I am now hounded by my step-family and even my half-siblings that I shouldn't refuse, and my response was pretty much the same and have blocked them as well. Yesterday, my mother called me from her friend's phone this time, ordering me to pay since she has sacrificed so much for me, to which I replied, "You never sacrificed anything. You gave away everything you had cause you just couldn't keep your legs closed," and hung up on her. I have blocked them all and now just keep receiving messages calling me an asshole among other things from new numbers, which I promptly block. But now occasionally I feel quite guilty. What my mother did was horrible, yes, but no one deserves to die for such things. So, Reddit, am I the asshole for refusing to pay my mother's hospital bill, even though it may lead to her death? Thanks for joining us on Roundup Reddit. Which story caught your attention? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe until next time.